Welcome to Early Edge Club. Before we deep dive, we are opening Early Edge Club to a small cohort of serious microcap investors. Every month, we deep dive into two microcap stock chosen by the community. You will be surrounded by thoughtful, like-minded investors from diverse backgrounds, and we are keeping this group small intentionally to preserve the quality of discussion and make a real personal connection. If that sounds like the kind you want to be part of, fill out the short form linked in the description and we will reach out to you soon. Today's section is divided into understanding first the business model, the industry, and then we use our 20-factor scoring, and finally our take on valuations and risk. Just to be clear, this is not an investment advice. Our goal is to help you invest smarter and safer and not tell you what to buy.
Competent Automobiles Company Ltd. It is a part of a Delhi-based Competent group, and it is an authorized Maruti and Nexa dealer in Delhi, Haryana, and Himachal Pradesh. And the company has 24 showrooms, 8 e-outlets, and 15 workshops. Their business verticals are as follows: 93% of the revenue comes from showroom sales of cars, basically, and 7% from services such as insurance and car servicing and spare parts. Now, these are the sub brands: Maruti Suzuki Arena and Nexa Arena. So, they're located in 19 convenient locations for Maruti Suzuki Arena showrooms and 7 locations for Nexa showrooms. So, coming to their management overview, their chairman and MD is Mr. Raj Chopra, and Mrs. Ahuja is the whole-time director, and Mr. K.K. Mehta is also a whole-time director. Now, Mrs. Rita Ahuja is the daughter of Mr. Raj Chopra, and I think Mr. K.K. Mehta is the son-in-law. So, it is a family-run business with independent government governance oversight. Coming to the industry tailwinds, so the Indian auto industry is expected to grow at a CAGR of 11.3% till 2027, and the rising disposable incomes and improved road infrastructure are driving high personal vehicle ownership. So it is a huge industry tailwind. Also, the demand for electric vehicles is rising steadily, which is expected to grow from 0.7 to 3.8% of market share by 2027. And Maruti Suzuki is a prominent player in the EV segment, especially for the entry segment of vehicles. So they're going to benefit hugely from this. Also, there is growing emphasis on after-sales services like repairs and accessories, which can enhance revenue stability and customer loyalty for the company itself. Also, some governance incentives as R&D advancements are boosting long-term industrial potential. So these are the tailwinds. And coming to the headwinds, so high interest rates continues to hurt price-sensitive buyers, especially for the entry-level segment. Also, stringent safety and emission regulations are increasing manufacturing costs for OEMs for manufacturing these cars. So it gets again indirectly burdened upon the dealers who are negotiating on prices. Also, there's rising input cost, labor expenses, and dealership overheads, which are putting extra pressure on the margins. And global macroeconomic uncertainties, exchange rate volatility, and inflation adds up to the cost structure. So the popularity of ride-sharing vehicles is also reducing vehicle ownership, especially in cities where people are more likely to use Ola, Uber. Coming to the peer analysis, these four companies are in the similar segment. Landmark Cars is positioned much better. It's also trading at a higher PE, but it's positioned much better. And they have the dealership of multiple car companies like Jeep and others. Popular Vehicles is a very close segment with Competent Auto, and Resourceful Automobile is a two-wheeler dealer, but in the similar industry. So looking at those these numbers, Competent is like recently positioned. It has a lower PE as compared to its competitors, which are having the same scale of operations. So that way it's positioned better, but there are some operational challenges with the company, which we'll discuss later. So coming to the bull case, so the company has a robust showroom network and a decades-long partnership with Maruti Suzuki, and their entry into newer markets like Kashmir and UP can drive strong volume growth there. Also, there is rising contribution from the high margin services and spares segment, which improves the company's profitability and also cushions against volatility in showroom sales. And a rising EV trend and increasing personal mobility demand in India's growing automotive sector also creates soft long-term demand for the company itself. And as auto buyers shift online, Competent can capture market via its e-outlets, which is the digital vehicle sales, financing, and servicing segment. Coming to the beer case, inventory depreciation is a key concern which poses constant pressure on dealers as vehicles lose value over time. Also, intensified competition across both the new and used vehicle markets can compress their margins. Adding to this, the over-reliance on Maruti Suzuki makes the company vulnerable to volume or margin risk if Maruti or alters its dealer strategy. Also, weak urban sentiment and elevated interest also hurt retail demand, especially the entry-level segment. And Maruti Suzuki cars are mostly in the entry-level segment, with the popular ones being Wagoner and Desire. So that way, competence revenues get significantly affected when if there is a slight change in interest rates or any of the urban sector. Now, coming to the key factor scorecard, governance and promoter behavior, they do not have any fundraise history. So I give them 5 here. Their director and promoter track record is good. Mr. Raj Chopra is a highly accoladed individual who has been director of Indian Olympic Association and also Delhi Olympic Association, and he has got multiple awards and prizes for his contributions. He is also the CEO of the Competent Group, and they have a conglomerate of businesses ranging from real estate to automobiles, etc. So the Ahuja and Chopra family holds around 74.92% of the company. Now, Mrs. Kavita Ahuja is Mr. Raj Chopra's daughter, basically, so they hold it all together. Now, there are some key concerns related to the related party transactions. Specifically as follows: rent and facility expense paid to promoters around 1.3 crores, and there are unsecured loans taken by promoters which is worth 20 crores, and they have paid just 48 lakhs of interest over this 20 crores. So that's 2.5%. That's not even on the FD rates. Also, there are advisory services that have been taken from the chairman's grandson worth 20 lakhs, which feels a bit shady, right? Mr. Raj Chopra is so much experienced, his daughter is also in the business. So, why would they take any kind of advisory services from their grandson? Doesn't make much sense to me. So, that's something that needs to be looked into carefully. Also, there is purchase of property, plant, and equipment, which is purchased from promoter worth 14 lakhs. And there are commission expenses paid to related entities worth 3.5 crore, which needs to be noticed. So I gave them a zero here. Now regarding board independence and composition, which we have already discussed this. So I gave them a 5 here because of 50% independent representation and 50% family on board. CEO and KMP salary is decent, so I give them a 5 here. Key person resignations include their company secretary resigning in 2024 due to personal reasons, the CFO resigning in 2022 due to similar reasons, and then independent director resigning in 2024 due to his deteriorating health and age. In the context of the RPTs, I have decided to give them a 3 here, evaluating them critically. Coming to the auditor resignation or change, auditor has their tenure till 2027, and auditor opinion has been unmodified over the past 3 years, and credit opinion in long term has been CRISIL A negative, which is quite good. So I gave them a 5 here. Now regarding regulatory legal issues, there have been minor contractual disputes, like something related to leasing of the land or some engine replacement in their cars. Very significant. So I decided to give them 5 here. Also, investor communication and disclosures, they do press releases, they don't do presentations, and they do con calls, but they update their results quarterly. So give them a 3 here. Now, coming to the business concentration risk, it's highly concentrated. Maruti Suzuki is their only supplier. Also, they face competition from other Maruti Suzuki dealers as well as stiff competition from other OEMs of other brands. So that way they're in a very tight spot. So I give them a zero here. Also, revenue growth hasn't been robust in the past 10 years or even 5 years. So that's pretty modest. However, receivables has been growing very fast, It's still a lower percentage of revenue, but then since growing at such a fast rate, even when revenue growth is stagnant, OCF by EBITDA is 17%, which is good, but however, it has been historically at very low levels. So I give them a 3 here. Inventory trends are as follows. Inventory days is 37 and DSO is 14. However, we need to get the fact that inventory depreciates very fast. That's something very important to understand. Also, cash conversion cycle is good. It's around 49 days. I give them a 5 here. Capex is very low. Fixed asset turnover is good. Asset turnover is good. And return on invested capital has declined a bit, but still it's okay to go forward. So I give them a 5 here. Debt and interest coverage is quite bad. Interest coverage is just 2 and debt is 1.1. And this 1.1 is in comparison to their shareholder equity. However, when we take all the factors into consideration, their market cap is much lower than the shareholders' equity, which happens in very rare cases. So market cap debt is much higher than that. The 3 year also is decent. So they are high on inventory and they have been operating like this for a long time. So I consider it to be normal business scenario. So I give them a 5 year. On equity, return on capital employed and return on asset metrics are quite stagnant and in fact low. Give them a 3 year. And growth consistency is not that robust. In fact, it's quite bad. Bad growth has been negative 18%. So I give them a 3 year. This sums up the total score of 41 out of 15 governance and promoter behavior and 35 out of 15 financial health, summing up the score to 76 out of. So coming to the valuation part,
Thank you, Aditya. So before I go there, like you mentioned, you did an interesting peer analysis of one company, which is Resourceful Automobile IPO. So this is an SME IPO. They wanted to raise 2 crores, but this IPO came at the peak of the SME froth or bull run, and they attracted bids worth 4,800 crores for like a 12 crore IPO. And another interesting fact was that they only had 8 employees and 2 showrooms. So that was funny. It was all over the media. Anyway, regarding Component Automobile, it is completely linked to how Maruti is going to do. Maruti is facing issues with their models. So if Maruti doesn't do well, they are going to get affected. And also geographically, Delhi, Haryana, Himachal Pradesh, they are located. So any issues with the states will have problems on their revenue as well. Two issue, don't go with low PE number is what I would say, because the PE is low for a reason, and also the debt has been slowly piling up for this company. 250 crores market cap, but then the debt is around 400 crores. Mostly could be working capital, but still it's a high number. So let's just do the 1 year forward projection. I would go with the bear case scenario here. They have been the margins have been pretty consistent around 3-4. Let me give a margin of 4. And yeah, this looks like a more reasonable growth rate. They've been growing at low single digits. And if you give a PE of 10, the price target is 503. I'm being reasonable. And they're trading at 407. So this again kind of factors in the fact that they grow at the similar pace. Like for 24-25, there has hardly been any growth. Right, take this with a pinch of salt, this growth, and if they're able to do 5-10%, then if the PE doesn't derate, then 503 looks like 1 year forward target. They have been which is okay. And do you have any idea? Are they opening new showrooms? They had made few large fixed asset purchases. Like where are these fixed asset purchases going to?
they're expanding into UP and Kashmir. So for that, but this has been
Okay,
stated by Crisil, not by the company's management.
got it. Need to monitor that, and hopefully this gives some additional revenue kicker. One other thing what I noticed is they are paying Maruti immediately, but then when it comes to getting payment from the customers, it's taking 15 to 10 to 15 days, and their inventory over the past few years have been increasing. We need to monitor that. This could also mean that they are giving cars on EMI through Bajaj Finance, etc., and
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
getting
Very high
payments
chances
after.
of that because they have the
Yeah,
separate business for that, for car finance.
yeah. Yeah, car financing, and they get the payment after like 10, 15 days. But promoter holding has been consistent, so that is a good part. Let's be conservative. Let's take cash flow from operating. The net profit is 23. Net profit is very low. Profit before tax. How is this cash flow from operating looks inflated because of other working and loan? So let us just take the net profit for now of 23, and if your required rate of return is 20, and if the terminal growth rate is 3, and if you have 5 years time horizon, and yeah, let's just keep it at 8. So the implied, the company has to grow their earnings or cash flow at 14% year on year for you to realize 20% growth rate. So let us see how the new additional showrooms would impact their earnings, so that if they're able to do that and contribute meaningfully to their revenue, then there is possibility. But for me, interest, which is continuously increasing, is a major concern. So need to see, because already wafer thin margins, and if there is some demand slowdown, then the risk or the business, I would say, is a bit fragile. So yeah, any closing thoughts?
Yeah, the business is not in a very good spot right now, and it's unlikely to recover or even grow at a very high rate, considering that Maruti Suzuki is also growing at a very modest rate. That way, we cannot make much assumption. So I think I would skip this business.
Likewise, I have similar view. Then I hope you found this framework useful. If you follow this company or have any interesting insight, we would love to hear from you. Drop a comment below. If you have scored this company using our 20-factor scorecard, feel free to share your score and how it compares with us. If you found this useful, consider subscribing, and also check out other videos where we break down more microcap companies and SME companies. If you are interested in joining our small research first cohort, the link to apply is in the description below. Thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next one. Bye bye.